Have you ever looked at modern art and thought, I could do this, and why does this cost so much? This seems insane. Many of us come to the conclusion that modern art is something for elitist snobs, to put their noses down at the masses and tell themselves how superior they are to the rest of us that don't understand this much more complex and emotional type of art. This is a simple narrative that leaves many in the art community and the rest of society somewhat satisfied, and they each take their biases against each other. But to understand this a little bit more, let's take a look at a business transaction. Now imagine two businessmen. Let's call them Businessmen A and B. Businessman A wants to sell Businessman B $200,000 worth of goods. Businessman B buys them for $200,000, which Businessman A acquired for $150,000. So he makes a $50,000 profit, and he pays $10,000 in taxes, let's say. Now let's change the scenario a little bit, where the businessmen get a little more crafty. Businessman A sells the same goods to B for $140,000. That is $10,000 less than he paid for it. So he has a $10,000 loss, which he gets to write off on his taxes. In addition to the $140,000, Businessman B sends a $60,000 work of modern art over to Businessman A's house. So the result is the same, in that Businessman B is giving $200,000 worth of consideration to Businessman A, and A is giving him $150,000 worth of goods. Except now, instead of paying $10,000 in taxes, he is writing off $10,000 in taxes. And the next time they do a transaction, he can give the artwork back to Businessman B, and he gets to avoid taxes. And this can go back and forth. There are even some companies that specialize in just holding the art, and when one buyer sells it to another, it is merely transferred ownership and kept in the same place. Because the businessmen don't always like the art and want to keep it in their own homes, and it makes it much more convenient to rapidly use in multiple transactions. Although regular art is used in this way, modern art is highly favored for several logical reasons. First, modern art is much less known to the public than the classical artists of the past. And if you're trading around a famous piece of art and the masses know of it, it's going to draw a lot more attention than if you're trading around some paint splatters from an artist that your average person has never heard of. Secondly, modern art has a very low barrier to entry in terms of skill level. Many times, someone can go get their loser son to go make some painting and sell it to a businessman, as long as it is in their circle, and they can agree that it has some value, which is what all currency is in the first place. They can use it as such. Ultimately, every aspect of modern art has to do with business and avoiding taxes, which is why you see modern art in so many airports, government buildings, and universities. The tax code is written to exploit this loophole. This system is never changed because regular people don't know how it works. And they just think, oh, there's some rich idiot who thinks that's art. Ultimately, modern art is a wealth redistribution scheme that benefits the wealthy that know how to exploit this. By picking the artists they like to promote, avoiding taxes through swapping the art, or getting tax breaks for donating it and making it available to the public. I first got the idea of making this video because over the years, modern art is something that comes up in conversation from time to time, where people will be like, that seems crazy that people will pay so much money for something that looks so simplistic. So I wanted to make a video addressing that there is some logical reasons why people do that instead of just pure insanity. If you like this content, I appreciate it a ton if you go hit that like button, subscribe. If you really want to help me out, help my channel create more content more often, consider supporting me on Patreon for just $1 a month. Or you could be an Uber patron for $3 a month. And your name will be at the end of the video, every single one I make. And if you want, you can put a quote there from something you like, as long as it's not profane or crazy. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening, morning, or good night.